ahead. And if I'm not mistaken, that was about fishing at night, fishing in the dark.
It was about fishing in the dark, about sitting all by yourself and loving that feeling.
That sounds like an unusual source of inspiration for a piece of music because it sounds so complete, kind of solitary and alone and beautiful.
It's the amazing thing about setting poems to music is that they weren't supposed to be songs. They were just poems. But then I stole them.
Yeah. So Peter Sears is the poet you're drawing this material from. Were you inspired by his words, or did you meet him? What happened first?
Well, it actually started with a commission. Jeremy and I were asked to put together a piece of music for the Brit Festival out in Oregon. We were working with the great conductor Teddy Abrams, who people might know from his recent collaboration with Jim James. He just did an epic orchestral record with Jim James. Anyway, he asked us to come to this piece for the Brit Festival. He suggested we try to find some sort of local tie-in, and he said, how about the Poet Laureate of Oregon?
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I got a book of Peter Sears poems and was absolutely floored, really from the first couple of ones I read. Set them to music. We met Peter. He came to the premiere of the piece. He passed away a couple of years later, unfortunately, but not before another beautiful connection, which is that at the time I was writing this, I was on tour with Mary Chapin Carpenter, and I was telling her this kind of, I'm working on this piece. I was opening for her, and she's such a mentor to me. And she just burst into tears, and she said, he was my English teacher in high school.
Oh,
So
wow.
It just had the whole thing just felt like it was meant to be.
Well, two things. One is I assume there was a commission involved, because otherwise it would be an incredibly audacious and ambitious thing for someone like you to do now at this stage in your life, considering you're, a new mother and you tour I'm with her and you've got all these projects and stuff. So this is a big, big deal, first of all.
Well, thank you.
And second of all, it must have been really interesting for Peter to hear this sort of the words and essentially the soundtrack to this solitary experience suddenly be celebrated by a full orchestra with 121 pieces.
Exactly. It's wild, but that song is sort of the opening of three poems I picked. I picked three poems, and we did them all together, and tonight we're kind of breaking them up, and they are standalone songs as they are standalone poems. But when we premiered the piece, we did that song into another very different song that you'll hear shortly called The Darkness, and it kind of just really, to me, the whole thing just encompasses the human experience, the human journey. You have to be comfortable with yourself and with your solitude to find love at the end, I think. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you don't... being alone is underrated in the human experience.
Not to me. I rate it very highly.
Yeah. Some people handle it so differently, though, right?
Yeah, I suppose you're right. I think I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and I'm always around a lot of people, so...
You value it when you can find it.
When somebody says, fly to Colorado for 24 hours and get off the plane and do a show, and then fly home the next morning, and I'm like, I'll get to be in a hotel room by myself. So this is... I'm in.
That's pretty cool.
That's why I'm here.
Thank you. That's so flattering. Yeah. Couldn't care less about us, just those few hours of solitude in the hotel room.
Now?
Okay, fine. I can take it.
Yeah.
Hey, so we've got some international flair on our program this week. We've got the folks, Che Apalache from Argentina, and then we've got some other conversations going on about that. And I can't forget that you very specifically have maintained a deep connection to your ancestral roots. As a kid, you used to go back to Ireland every summer and spend some time and meet your family, right?
Yeah, and I still do. I still go to Ireland at least once a year. And as a mother, I've been thinking a lot about how important it is to maintain those connections and how much of a gift it was for my parents to take 4 kids every summer to Ireland, really for the sole reason of being close to our cousins and being close to our grandparents. And it was an incredible gift, and I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to do the same with my daughter.
Did you ever, just if you think back to those times, especially early on, did you ever feel like you were sort of an outsider in both places? Like you're in Ireland, but you're an American, and some of the language and some of the tradition and some of the culture is other than, and then you're back in Boston. And of course, being Irish in Boston is sort of like being Irish in Ireland.
That is true. I think I less felt like an outsider here in America because, I'm so American. My mom is so American. But the main thing when I was a kid is in going to Ireland, my Irish cousins would always comment on how loud we were. We were the loud Americans. And it's just unfortunate it was true. It still is true. And Americans are still very loud in foreign countries.
Yeah.
But I really remember as even a very small kid, you're so loud. Would you ever be quiet?
Did you ever mix up words or get things wrong and then feel like you were, I suppose you would learn. You would learn quickly if there was some local slang that you didn't understand.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What's the thing? He's a jolly good fellow. I always say, and so say all of us. And so say all of us. And then every time I do that here, I don't even, they're like, no, and nobody can deny.
Yeah.
Little things like that, but I do it the Irish way.
Yeah.
And I drive on the left always. So,
oh, yeah. Note to self, never let Aoife drive. I love the fact that the music, of course, is a great connector. It kind of breaks down all those boundaries and borders.
It really does. And music is, such an important thing for my entire family. And one of the songs actually on the EP is an old Irish folk song that I first heard my Uncle James singing in pubs around Ireland. Not around Ireland, but the local pub.
Yeah.
And we would have sing songs.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that you can draw from so many different sources. And that leads us back to this sort of ethereal, magical string arrangements that you and Jeremy have created. Really, really a beautiful sound and a different thing along, of course, with the free-range strings helping out.
Yes. Ludek and Paul and Stephanie are just doing such an amazing job on very little rehearsal. We're very impressed.
Yeah. And is this going to be a flavor that's going to be a sort of defining characteristic for your touring for the next little while? Or?
Yeah, I'm heading out on the road with a group. Alex Hargraves is going to play violin, and great violist from New York, Mario Goto, and Ethan Jojevich on bass. So that's going to start up next week.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So you'll have a regular string. And then what about the 121-piece orchestras? Are you going to tap into that from time to time?
I'm going to tap into that from time to time, yes. Once it's really hard to justify having your own hotel room in that scenario, so I couldn't really pull it off this time.
It's a very legit career path, though. I just want to mention, for somebody who was in, of course, Goat Rodeo was kind of legit for a little while.
And we're coming back.
Goat Rodeo is?
We are. We're coming to Colorado in August.
Should you explain and remind to our audience exactly who's in that band?
Goat Rodeo is a project I'm the guest vocalist in. It's a band with Chris Thiele, Edgar Meyer, Stuart Duncan, and then this other guy, I don't know, Yo-Yo Ma.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got a lot of name recognition there.
Yeah. No ego on the road in that bunch.
Yeah, it's exciting though. We some new dates have been announced, and more news coming soon.
All right, well, good luck finding solitude in your future. Meanwhile, let's get back to music. Welcome back, if you would, along with her buddies, Aoife O'Donovan.
Thanks, Nick.
Hi, this is Nick Forster from eTown. If you want to stay up to date with all the performances, interviews, and behind-the-scenes footage, click the subscribe button. Thanks.